Hello my friends, and welcome to Tom's Tinkering and Adventures. Well, I did a video a little bit ago about working on a Yamaha TTR125. It was having some shifting problems, and I ended that video saying that maybe it might be time to put it down, but it's my buddy's bike, and he would like me to see if we can't get that working because it's for his kid. And if you have a family, you know how important family is, and his kid is looking forward to riding the motorcycle. So I need to get hopping on this thing so I can get it taken apart. We can get parts ordered on it, get it back together before the riding season is over. So I got the bike up on the bike is up on the stand here, and what we're going to do is we're going to start stripping it down, and this engine is going to come out. Engine's going to come out of the bike because we have to pull the engine, and then what we have to do is we're going to have to take the entire engine apart. The cylinder is going to have to come off of it. Both side covers are going to have to come off. Going to have to remove the flywheel, the clutch, all the gearing on that side, and then we're going to have to split the motor in half to get inside of it and find out what's wrong with it. So today we are hopefully going to get this engine out of here and get it up on my workbench. And I am going to be filming using my awesome little homemade camera stand I made here, which should make it a little bit easier to get in here on the action where we're going to be working on things. So stick around, won't you? Let's get this engine out of this bike and see if we can't get up on the bench and start taking it apart. So before we get the engine out, we got to take off the seat, side cover here, the tank, the exhaust. We're going to have to disconnect the shifter. We are going to have to remove this brake lever here. Carburetor has to come off. And let's see, the clutch cable. We're going to have to look at all the electricals that we're going to have to disconnect. So I'm going to have to get under here and disconnect the battery. So I'm going to knock all that out, and once I'm done, I will show you where the bolts and stuff were, because otherwise this video could take an hour or so. In order to remove the seat, there are 2 bolts. Use a 10mm socket, one on each side. Bolts come out, the seat comes off. The side panel is held on by that bolt that we took out of the seat and another bolt over here, and then there is a grommet with a little clip that goes into it, rubber grommet on this side. And on this side, the side cover is held on once again with the seat bolt, and then there is a 1/4 turn fastener along with 1, 2 little pins that go into the rubber grommets. For the tank, there are 2 bolts, one on each side. One here, one on the other side. And you want to make sure that your fuel is shut off. Disconnect the fuel supply line, and then we need to get this rubber strap off of here, and that tank should be ready to come off. Let's get you in the stand here, see how this works. There we go. And what I like to do on a project like this, because I'm going to be ordering parts, you can take all your fasteners and you can put them in Ziploc bags and label where they go, like these 2 would be tank bolts, but I'm just going to lightly screw them right back in here. It takes just a minute, but then when you come back, then you know that that's where that one goes. So we are at the point now, I'm going to remove the exhaust and the shifter and the brake and the carburetor, and we'll come right back. I've removed the, oops, excuse me, sorry about that. I've removed the sprocket cover here, which is 2 bolts. Sprocket cover's off. I have removed the exhaust on this model here. There's 2 nuts that hold it here, and then it just slides out of this exhaust pipe. This is an aftermarket exhaust, so a stock model might be a little bit different. That's all there is to that. I've taken off the shifter, this Allen wrench, Allen bolt here, and then a 10 millimeter on the little pinch bolt here. Disconnected the brake lever, which is this Allen bolt, and don't forget there is a clip on the back of it that you have to take off before you remove that. I took the carburetor off, Phillips screwdriver here and here, and I just moved it up and out of the way. I'm going to leave it on here just like that, and that's up to you. Actually, I might not do that. This one's pretty easy. We just have to unscrew it here, so I might just take that off because I want to clean that while we have this engine apart. And the last thing that I did is I am getting ready to pull this clutch cable off. There's one 8 millimeter head here for this little bracket. Pull that bracket off, and then we should be able to feed this forward and disconnect this right here. So a little bit of finagling and I'll get that. And all right, so the next things I am going to do is I am going to disconnect the chain. I'm going to follow the electrical out and find out where that disconnects. I'll probably disconnect this top engine mount. I've already pulled the spark plug wire off the spark plug, and it looks like we might have to remove this. I might not have to, actually. We'll leave that. That looks like it's a reservoir for the rear shock. So I'm going to look at the next items, and we'll come on back. I'll show you how to get everything else off, and this motor is getting close to coming out. Next steps that have been completed: I disconnected the positive off of the battery here, and then I removed the starter, which is bolted on right here, 2 bolts, and then it slides out, and the cable that goes to the starter has a couple of clips that attach to the engine, so I removed those, 1, 2 of those. And then there is a chassis ground that connects right here to this bolt. I disconnected that. We're just going to push that out of the way. Just got to remember to hook that back up when we come back. That's why I don't like to push it too far out of the way, because it's easy to forget those. And then you won't start and you'll be like, why doesn't this thing run? I have disconnected this crankcase vent. Chain has been removed. This chain has a link, so I just took the link out of it, took the chain off. Since this is a small, I actually have there's the clutch cables off. Since this is just a kind of a small dirt bike, it doesn't have a very big electrical system, so I followed this up, and just 2 plugs up here. We had to cut 1, 2, there's a 3rd zip tie back here. 3 zip ties had to cut to get that off, and then that just feeds right through here. Hopefully, looks like it's going to be a tight fit. I'll probably do that off camera because it looks like it's going to be a tight fit around this shock. And what else have we done? Okay, drained the oil out of it already, and I removed, there's a plastic skid plate that is held on with 3 bolts. 1, 2, 3, and they are right here's 1, and the other 2 are on the bottom. So the next thing we're going to do is start to remove these engine mount bolts, and we can probably start with these on the top. Like I said, the top engine mount bolts. Let's see if I can get you in there. I've already gone by and loosened all these up. And they're kind of hard to see. Right here is 1. Underneath here is 2. And then the 3rd one is a, oops, there we go. Lucky I put the safety in here. This one is a bolt with a nut on the back side of it. So there is your top engine mount. I've removed engines from all kinds of different motorcycles, from little 50cc kids bikes all the way up to Goldwing engines. And they're really almost all pretty straightforward and very similar. I mean, bigger engine is of course going to have more stuff going on, and this is a really nice engine to work on as far as removing and working on rebuilding, because this is an air-cooled single-cylinder motorcycle. So really nice. But when you get to this point where you're getting close to removing it is where you have to really start taking a good hard look and paying attention to what's going on as far as wire routing, making sure your wires aren't going to get caught up on anything, or that there aren't any other wires. Take a look for cables, make sure everything is out of the way. And then you kind of got to look at how the engine goes into the bike. There's one motorcycle I worked on where you actually had to set the motor down and lift the frame up and over the motor. So this one, being a small single-cylinder engine, looks pretty simple. We have an engine mount bolt right there, an engine mount bolt right here. Now, a lot of dirt bikes, bigger dirt bikes, will actually have an engine mount bolt that goes through the swing arm pivot, which adds a little extra fun, because then you have to pull this swing arm bolt out, pull the swing arm off, and then the motorcycle isn't supported. So you have to, what I usually do is I'll hook a strap up to it and hook it up to my rafters on the back. But that adds a whole nother level of fun. This one, fortunately, is not. And then we already have removed the top mount. And then on this one, there is a mount bolt there and a mount bolt here. But I see that this one also has this removable engine cradle. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably going to pull out this back top one and this top one, and then I'm going to put something under here to support this, and then I'll probably pull these two out and this bottom one, and then it'll just be hooked onto this bottom pivot one. And then as long as it's supported, and this is, like I said, a nice one to work on by yourself, because it's probably 60 pounds. It's not too heavy, maybe 100 pounds, I don't know. But then I can pull this bolt out hopefully, and we will be done skis. So let me see what I can get to put under here to support this, probably some wood blocks or something. Here goes nothing. Let's remove this top one here. I've already taken the nuts off the back side of these already. And with this one here, the engine shifted a little bit. I saw it move. And we'll pull this one out here, this cradle. Okay. Starting to get a little bit of pressure on the motor here. I see it. Let's pull this one out. If we can. There we go. The little cradle's already off. And if you look here, the engine, let me bring you over here. The engine tilted forward a little bit, and it's just resting against the frame here. So that's actually kind of nice for us. Now what we have left is this one on the bottom of this cradle. There we go. I'm just going to put these bolts right back into this cradle. And we have this back one here. So what I might want to do is grab another block. Hang on a moment. Grab another wood block and put it underneath this motor. Give us a little bit more support. And see if I can't remove this last mount bolt here. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I don't even know where it's at. On this side. Oh, my fingers can't quite reach it. Okay. It's about ready to come out. And this motor will... Engine. And there's a difference between an engine and a motor, right? Usually a motor, so it's an electric motor. Okay, all of our bolts are out. Now, if if you look, we're still kind of in these brackets. So it's sitting in those brackets. So what we kind of have to do is to pull the back of the motor, this engine, I'm sorry, pull the back of the engine this way, and then it should come out on our side. I think it could come out on either side, really. But we'll pull it out on this side because the camera's over here. And watch that we don't catch any of that stuff. And there we go. Set it down here. Engine is out. And then, like I like to do with everything else, I'm going to put the engine mount bolts back in here, but it looks like all these are the same size, so that's kind of a nice thing. But there you go. That's how you remove an engine from a Yamaha TTR125. So we're going to bring this over to the bench, and then we're going to show you how to take it all apart. Okay, we're on the bench. So, that being said, I hope that you'll join me again, because we are going to take this engine apart, find out what's wrong, get some new parts, put her back together, and get it back in this bike. And hopefully we'll have a happy kid with a bike that works properly. So, thank you very much for watching. Get out there and find your adventure. Adios.